Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. And here we have Rich Shea on Rug Delver versus John Ashworth on Goblins. John used to play Goblins a ton back in the day before Deathrite Shaman, and as soon as Deathrite got the axe, here he is sleeving up that Goblin Lackey again, hoping to get in for some early damage and bringing a bunch of other Goblins to the yard. And right off the bat, Goblin Lackey off of a mountain meets Force of Will, pitching Stifle. So a 2-for-1 there for John. Goblin's a very grindy deck. Not necessarily going to regret that too much. And here's Cavern of Souls. I did not see if that was right off the top. Got to imagine it was his card for turn. And perhaps Grenzo. 3 damage off a flipped Delver. Wasteland on Cavern, and another Delver. So Rich looking to go Insect Tribal here versus the Goblin Tribal deck. Badlands for John. John is paying 2 mana for Pile Driver, which gets dazed. He knew it was there. Choosing not to play around it, trading the card just to get it out of Rich's hand. Delver not flipping, but Ponder. Likely to ensure it flips this next time. Rich says, no thank you. I'll take my chances with a random flip. Did not think those 3 were good enough. 4 more damage coming in. On verifying the life totals. Arid Mesa being fetched. Rich running on just 1 land right now. Rug Delver. To a lot of people, the heir apparent to Grixis Delver and Check Pile, 2 of the stronger decks, which kind of evaporate overnight here. Gitaxian Probe being so important to the Grixis Delver decks, making Young Pyromancer and Cabal Therapy such a strong axis to attack along. And then, of course, Check Pile losing Deathrite Shaman. This is the first tournament post Deathrite and Gitaxian Probe ban. It's actually the first day that the bans went into effect. This is Friday Night Legacy from Scholars Games in Brockton, Massachusetts. It is for a Force of Will. And Rich and John here battling life totals, getting lower, battling back and forth. And there's a Warren Weirding off of War Chief. That is just a 1 mana Diabolic Edict. And Rich going to brainstorm back into that Force of Will, which he left on top. Looks like he feels strongly enough about this that he's ready to force the issue. Daze Force. Rich has a decision to make here. Do need to go back for us to move forward with the game state. Hopefully Rich did put a instant or sorcery on top. Force of Will pitching True Name. 2 more mana for another War Chief, and that one's going to get dazed. And John swinging in for 4. Likely to have lethal next turn, but will there be a next turn? Can Rich find Lightning Bolt? I believe we saw it during some of the card selection previously. John with Lackey and Ringleader. Could jam lackey, swing. Hope to draw into some tar fires. Burke Prospector could give some possible lines here. And John's scooping it up, a little surprising. I would have expected the lackey to come down and War Chief to swing, Goblin Ringleader to get put in and see what's going on. But John's scooping it up. Perhaps that's an indication that he's not running Tarfire. But Rich taking down game one. See a black splash here. Ball Therapy, a card that is going to see a lot less play, I would imagine, now that Gataxian Probe is out of the format. There are some decks that'll still be able to use it to good effect. Cards like Dredge, of course, have used Cabal Therapy for quite some time, mostly because of its flashback ability. Goblins has run Therapy with some success in the past because it often has extra 1/1 tokens, which would be better served dying for the team and stripping some resources away from the opponent's hands. It looks like he may be on the Earwig squad. That is a card that seems to have been stronger in formats like Vintage, where occasionally your opponent will only have 3 actual cards that can win the game. There are cards like Tinker and Monastery Mentor, which if you can remove those, your opponent might have an extremely difficult time finding a way to win. It may actually put them in a situation where they have to find a way to deck you out, which is potentially impossible versus a deck like Goblins to actually keep the board clear for 40 turns. So Earwig Squad, very powerful in Vintage, and in Legacy, we'll see. It is a big body that could be relevant. Certainly versus a deck like Storm, it could be a way to help that matchup, which is definitely one of Goblin's worst matchups. Are resetting the life totals here for game 2. Leading out with Arid Mesa into Goblin Lackey. That is how Goblins likes to do it. Turn 1 Lackey both games here. This time facing down a Nimble Mongoose. Feels like we've stepped in a time machine, rolled things back 10 years in terms of the creatures on this battlefield. Nimble Mongoose going to have protection in the form of his Shroud from both Tarfire, Goblin Incinerator, Gem Palm Incinerator, Pyrokinesis, you name it, none of it can hit him. And there's a Delver of Secrets, which is blue and cannot block this Goblin Pile Driver from John. So the board progressing for both players here. Wasteland for Rich, taking out that Badlands. Now John did look like he had a decent amount of mana. We'll see if that actually bothers him. Goblins often wants to get to the 3 mana. Cards like War Chief. Now it's worth noting John's build is very reminiscent of older builds. The more recent builds have shied away from cards like Pile Driver and War Chief. See how these play. Pile Driver particularly weak to 1-for-1 removal. Of course, all the Goblins can be removed with cards like Lightning Bolt, but Pile Driver just so much worse when Lightning Bolts and other 1-for-1 removal keeps him alone on the battlefield. Certainly not enough value out of a Pile Driver if all he's doing is swinging by himself. Stifle on John's fetch land, continuing to deny mana. And Brainstorm from Rich. looking to set up some type of continuation plan. Nimble Mongoose. And easily have Threshold here. See what Rich's top of the curve is? No, another Nimble Mongoose. So an excellent board here for Rich, going to be very difficult to get past. Nimble Mongoose is going to be able to block both Goblin lackeys. John going to need to try and set some type of lethal swing in play. Another Aether Vial comes down. An Ancient Grudge takes out both of those Aether Vials. Excellent value and just an absolute savage play here from Rich. What a killer. Having gone after John's mana base with Stifle and Wasteland, follows it up with Ancient Grudge, getting rid of those Aether Vials. Looks like John taking the full damage there from the Nimble Mongoose and Insect, and a Lightning Bolt finishes it off. And John shows a hand with 2/3 casting costs, War Chiefs, and a Warren Weirding. No match for Dr. Rich Shea's mana denial strategy, with perhaps the new King of the Hill, Rug Delver. That's all for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please help grow the channel by subscribing. You'll be notified when we upload new videos like Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic with commentary, or Untapped, our raw tournament gameplay. Thanks for watching.